And I guess this is what if you have no other choice but then to get your legs chopped off, I guess you do want a dude who's like, dude, it's the nothing on earth hits harder than not having legs. Take it from me. I'm hard as a rock all day long since I got my legs chopped off. Not having legs is the cocaine of body modifications or whatever.
Does it sound like I'm coming through this microphone? Check.
Tap it. Yeah. I think so.
Okay.
We're going to roll
God.
with it. Thank fucking
Jesus
God
fucking
for you, airheads. Thank God for you and Jesus fucking Christ himself. Also, Muhammad H. Prophet. Big ups to all of them. I decided to start just now. Yeah, welcome back to the Airstream Studios, virtual Airstream Studios. Cho's having a hell of a time over there, going rounds with his pooter. Pooter giving him hell. That's the way it goes in this modern life of ours. But
our internet went out before this too. So, and luckily we're here for. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. I know everybody's getting sick of it, but it's just how it's just how I'm fucking living my life, and it's infuriating. And also, I would like to let everybody know this is still a non-alcoholic beer. We're still doing it right. You know, I want to lose my mind right now, but I've found that I can do that without alcohol. So I'm just gonna do that.
Sounds good. Listen, I don't know what you have planned for this week, but
I got a pro show actually.
Okay, well that'll be good. Well, there's somebody that I got reminded of the other day, and immediately I was like, I can't believe we ain't never talked about this person on POA. Maybe if we have, it's been brief and in passing because I feel like he fits the brand very well. Like undeniably so. I saw this video of his get popped up. He's still out there doing it. It's a bit of a, it might be a little 2000 and late, but the man's still out there doing his thing. I'm talking, of course, about the one and only, the illustrious and inimitable Salt Bae. I saw this video that I want to share with you here. This is just from him the other day. Let me see. I've got to share my screen. If you're only listening, frankly, you ain't going to get much out of this. We'll explain it afterwards.
He looks worse now.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's older. He's also very, I think he stayed beyond cocaine and stuff.
For the record, mine wasn't an age thing. It's like his hair's worse. Like it's like he's, dudes like that, they try to look really young and hip, and like they've got like a 6-month window where that's okay. Like our buddy Rick, he's been trying to do it forever. I don't know if he's finally given up, but like it gets to a point where it's just like, bro, everybody knows that you ain't young and hip. Like just quit and get some fucking regular sneakers.
I think him and Drew the same age. I think.
Drew's kind of like that.
Yeah, well, I didn't know, because I didn't know how old you thought Salt Bae was, but it's like he's doing. It's more than just young and hip. It's like fucking Miami nightclub.
Right.
Young. It's like even worse. It's like piled on top of it. But anyway, like I said, I realized I saw this video pop up. This is a recent clip from him, and I realized like Salt Bae is very much a POA thing. So this is the video that kicked it off. Like I said, if you're only listening, you ain't going to get nothing out of it. But we'll talk about it afterwards, sort of explain it. It's only 30 seconds long, but here we go. So those are avocados.
Yeah.
Right? Full half of avocado. Look at that. That's
holiday sauce?
I think it's cheese. Liquid cheese.
See.
And in the top half of avocados. And then there's the signature salt shower down his sweaty forearm. Oh, wait. Actually, I forgot about this part. We do need to hear a little bit of it. I'll turn the audio on for this. Because I forgot how this ended. So there.
Avocado.
So
did he say avocado?
Avocado. Like, yeah, he pronounced avocado in a fashion I've never encountered before this. But this dude owns like 20 something. I'm doing air quotes here. Luxury steakhouses around the globe, right? In 15 different countries or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, fuck
do
that.
He, though?
What do you mean, do he?
Well, what I mean is,
many of them have closed, but there's still a bunch that are open.
I guess, like, what I mean is, like, do we know that he's the actual owner instead of like a bunch of Saudis own it and they just pretend he is for like the publicity of it or whatever?
I mean, he definitely had a bunch of money behind him when he first opened them all up and made all that happen. Like, no doubt about it. But either way, regardless, he's like the face of it and has made a shitload of money off of them.
Right.
But I'm saying like that this ain't fancy. It also don't look good. Those patties are like,
just eat a burger.
Just eat a regular burger, but those patties don't even look that great to me.
Like, even when I thought that was hollandaise sauce, I was still upset. But at least hollandaise sauce would go with sort of like, avocados are sort of like an elevated vegetable. Actually, avocados are a fruit, right?
Yeah.
Technically, whatever, they're a fruit. But like, if there's one thing I can't stand, and there's a lot, but in this world, I think me and you have talked about this before, but like, dude, the avocado to me, and you can do whatever you want with your food, sure, but like, the freshness of the avocado is like the whole deal to me. So I don't want it being ruined by slop and stuff. Like, if you're making me like some sort of Southwest burger and there is a little avocado on there, that's okay. That's fine. But like these people that take these like perfectly good sushi rolls that have avocado in them and then they deep fry them, or they make these big sushi burritos and they drown the avocado and stuff. I'm like, we're just getting away from, in my opinion, what this fruit ought be, which is like, it's the good fat. The avocado is something that you should eat on its own because it hits and it's a good fat for you and it feels like a cheat, but it's not. And I cannot stand just slathering cheese. And I know how this sounds coming from me, but slathering cheese for no reason and then making something unable for me to pick it up without needing a whole thing of napkins, unless it's a chicken wing, I don't like it.
I'm completely with you on that. But it's sliced avocado on a burger is fine. It's whatever. I like avocado, but I don't prefer that, but whatever. I'll fuck with it. But like a whole ass avocado. So for y'all that are only listening, he literally cut avocados in half, peeled completely. So 2 halves of one whole avocado. And in between those 2 halves was a burger patty that he dumped a bunch of nuclear liquid cheese on top of. And that was it. He made 3 of them at the same time. And then he Salt Baed the salt all over the top of them all. But it's like, and that's all it was. But it's like, that's just, fuck that. Like, avocados ain't buns. And that's trying to eat that would be a fucking nightmare. But it's just like, there's nothing to it. Like a 7-year-old could have come up with that.
Right.
He
and so
it's like
stuff that's like that.
Yes, he does. That's why I wanted to talk about him. Because it's like this dude has served heads of state, super famous people, legends worldwide, and it's all kind of trashy. Like it's very gilded, like it's fake, fancy. He's also like, he's influenced a lot of shit, and I don't know. Salt Bae may be good. Exactly. I was about to say Salt Bae may be a lovely man. I doubt that.
No,
but I don't.
No, I've heard bad stories.
Okay. Well, I know he fucked over some employees and stuff, but either way,
that's all I know.
I don't know the guy, but like, he's like, he influenced the whole industry like for the worse, for sure. Because if you've ever seen those videos, we've showed some of them on here, and I hate them every time. And I'm
listening, by the way. I'm just turning my fan off. I can hear you.
Some on the show. Those videos were like, people are at a steakhouse in fucking Miami. And I don't know if it's literally always Miami, but inside these particular types of steakhouses, it's Miami. I don't care what city you're in Miami when you're inside there. It's like how, if you're on an American boat out at sea or in a certain dock, you're still technically on American soil. I don't even know if that's how that works. But you know what I mean? Yeah, but it's just but when you're in one of these types of steakhouses,
law applies to Salt Bae for sure.
Yeah, and they order a steak and it comes out and it's in a gold suit. It's in a suitcase. So waiters come out with tuxes on and white gloves and they dance around to fucking, like, I don't know, Daddy Yankee and shit like that for a minute while strobe lights go off. And then they set a suitcase down on the table and open it up and light comes out like in fucking Pulp Fiction. And inside the suitcase is a tomahawk ribeye that they've wrapped completely in gold leaf, which the amount that it takes for a tomahawk ribeye costs like $3 probably, and it's like this is $1,000 ribeye, and they dance, and also there's liquid nitrogen, so smoke comes out of the gold suitcase, and they all fucking set off sparklers and shit, and everybody cheers. That type of stuff, like that is, I don't think we'd have none of that right now if it weren't for Salt Bae.
It wouldn't be as big, that's for sure. And you know what they never do in those videos? Hardly ever. Like, get to the part where they cut the steak. Meat.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Get to the part where they cut the meat and let me see what's going on inside of it. Because, bro, that is all I give a motherfuck about.
Right. So, Salt Bae, you know, as we all know. Now, one thing I will say, according to Wikipedia, Salt Bae was born in a small village in Turkey, and his dad worked in the mines.
Okay.
And his family was so poor that he was forced to leave school in 6th grade to start working as a butcher's apprentice.
Okay.
In the slums of Istanbul. And then later on in life, he like hoboed and vagabonded all around the world, where he worked in various restaurants from Argentina to the U.S. and all over the place. And he actually had opened up his own restaurant in Turkey, and also in Turkey and also Dubai. Perfect place for him. Dubai is the Miami of the Middle East. It's like Miami, except you're not allowed to sin or they kill you with rocks. So
unless you hit, apparently.
Stupid Miami. But anyway,
yeah.
Perfect place for him. But he already had those 2 restaurants before he ever even went viral. So, like, you know, I mean, he had something, but like
that means that he must have at one point actually
had some substance, had a little steak and not just sizzle. Yeah, because then obviously, as everybody remembers, in 2017, we were talking about this yesterday on Well Read. Kind of, it's just the internet's just so wild because you never know. You can go viral. There's so many different types of going viral, and it's like, luckily I went viral in a life-changing way personally, but not like this. Like but all he did, literally all he did, sprinkled salt like in a novel and sassy fashion,
right?
And that's it. And that went viral, and then 2 years later, he's got 25 high-end, air quotes again, steakhouses around the world, and he's like serving presidents and prime ministers and soccer legends and all this shit, and it's just fucking insane. This I've never been to one of his places. I don't want to go, but I watch the videos and I'm always like, man, this ain't it. This is what stupid people think hits, or whatever.
Yes. I'm glad that you brought this up, because I actually earlier, and you can go to my YouTube and check it out. I've been doing like a daily, I won't say daily affirmation, but sort of just like daily thoughts. Like my thought, I basically, as soon as I wake up, whatever my first thought is, I've been doing these like daily video journals or whatever. And one of them was on how Marco Pierre White, because he had like really inspired me with this video that he was talking about, where I don't know, you know Marco Pierre White, right?
I don't think so. Maybe if you explain him.
He was Gordon Ramsay's mentor. He's the curly-headed guy.
Okay.
And you see him on Instagram a decent amount, but the reason you don't see him as much as these other guys is like he was a celebrity chef, like one of the first ones, but like realized he didn't want to be about that life. The most famous thing he ever did, he was the youngest person to ever get 3 Michelin stars, and he gave them back. He gave the Michelin stars back. And his reasoning was he started going to these Michelin restaurants and started talking to these people that were like the ones voting on it and stuff. And he said, and this is a great quote, he said, I realized I was being judged by people who didn't have as much knowledge as me. He said, and I hated it. He said, I hated that the thing I was working so hard for was to impress people that couldn't wash my dishes. You know what I mean? And he also said,
but here's my immediate reaction to that. Isn't that kind of your job?
Yeah,
if you are the best chef in the world,
yes,
you can't even be a chef if you're not. You have to make food that you hope hits for people, none of whom can wash your dishes necessarily. So, are you just going to devote your entire life to cooking only for Gordon Ramsay and fucking Thomas? What's his name? The French laundry guy. Thomas Keller and guy like you only ever gonna cook for those guys? Because if not, you kind of have to deal with that. I feel like
that, but like I guess what he really meant was like as long as the people kept coming to his restaurants, that's who he was cooking for. You know what I mean? And he was tired of like every year having to elevate this stupid thing. Like I understand that. And by the way, it's an easy thing to do when you already have 3 Michelin stars. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if he'd have refused the first one, that'd been more gangster. And that elevated him, right? And he kept his restaurants. But like another thing that he said was obviously the older I get, the more I realize what I don't know. And he said that he feels the key to cooking is usually the more you do, the less you're doing, or the more you put in, the more you're taking away for the most part. He's a very simple guy, and he's like, I'm not, so he's never like outright said, I hate Salt Bae, but like that whole deal makes this dude want to vomit. And I'm more in his camp where I'm like, hey, I don't give a shit what it looks like as long as it's tasty. It's got umami, it hits all the right notes. And Marco also says that everything now is too much pizzazz and not enough actual emotion, because food is supposed to invoke emotion, and the only thing invokes is ooh, and like it's not about that. But I'm with you, like but Marco straight up has just kicked people out of his restaurant for like being like, hey, could you give me some salt or whatever? And he's like, get the fuck out of here. Right. If it don't hit for you, it don't hit for you. The guy's got his flaws, but I really like him. And now he's like an old Buddha, but listening to him and dudes like Thomas Keller, who like, they have pretty good senses of humor about themselves. I've been to the French Laundry and it looked nice. Everything looked nice, but they weren't coming out there with tambourines and stuff. It was like, hey, here's our food, eat it. Was it good? Awesome, thank you. So there's a middle ground. So
yeah, that he went viral with Salt Bae in January 2017. It's wild that we had been on the road and we were waiting to hear, or I was waiting to hear that my first pilot was being passed on at the time.
Yeah, and we were working on the second one that was going to fail.
But so a year later in 2018, his first of this chain of his opened in New York City, and the actual review, it was packed to the gills. He's still a viral star, whatever. The actual reviews were almost universally terrible. The New York Post called it public ripoff number 1. GQ said the steak was mundane and the burgers were overcooked. Other critics described the dishes as being, quote, as over-salted as they are overpriced.
Well,
meat that was tough with globs of fat and gristle and lacking in flavor. Finishing a meal there constitutes some kind of personal victory over your own body, instincts, and mouth. So, I mean, that's pretty harsh. Is the only generally positive review was from a publication called Eater, which said if you are intent on judging New York's new branch of Nusret, which that's the name of his chain, Nusret, if you're intent on judging New York's new branch of Nusret only as a steakhouse, you'll probably be disappointed. But on the other hand, if you appraise the place as dinner theater, you'll find it satisfying, ... but only if Salt Bae is in the house, which to me, that's the part that I want the least. Like that.
Yeah,
I'll pay you to not do that part if the food hits.
I would see. I hear you. I don't want it either way. I don't want to go if he's there, if he's not there. But I have to.
No, I don't either. I don't want to go either.
I have to imagine the people that do. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I imagine if you go for Salt Bae, and I know it's like, you go see, it's like just because you go to a comedy club doesn't mean Seinfeld's going to be there. And obviously this guy's got other shit to do. But yeah, man, if it's dinner theater, he is the ringmaster of that theater. And also bro, I like dinner theater. If I'm going to get dinner theater, though, it's going to be the Dolly Parton Stampede you know, where it's an actual show and a reasonably priced meal and I can drink that gravy like soup. Like, I don't need all that fucking, it's just so pointless, man. Like to me, don't you think going out should be like, I'm not saying the whole place should be quiet or nothing, but like going out to eat's about being with people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. No, I don't want no part of it. Again, I don't even like.
Hibachi's a fine show.
Yeah, see, like, dude, even that, I'm kind of like, I'd just rather not do any of this. Like, I just want the shrimp. Like,
but it's fine.
Just give me the shrimp, you know. I'm not
but the
much
dude's
for
not pretentious, you know.
No.
He's not pretentious. He's cool. And if there's kids there, he'll throw shrimp in their mouth.
Even like the whole, like, you know, like cocktail performances, you know, fucking bartender, like
miss me.
That's neat too, but just give me a martini or whatever. Like, just make it and hand it to me. I don't need all this shit.
It is neat until you've been waiting 15 minutes for your second drink.
100%.
And then it's like, hey, we don't care. I mean, it's cool, but like, you know, like some comedian used to have a bit about it, how like at Macaroni Grill, they the first thing the waiter did was he came and he wrote his name upside down in crayon on the table. And like, it's like, dude, you're not getting an extra $1 for that. I don't think. Like, and I know that they make them do it, but it's like, we don't, just fucking bring the food, dude, please.
Yeah. So Salt Bae's had a few. Yeah, like I said, he's been sued by former employees and stuff who claim that he was like stealing their tips or part of their tips, which it's like, how much money do you need? Pretty sorry. Obviously, settled court cases with employees before it had to pay them off. That type of shit. I don't know if you remember this or saw this, but after the 2022 World Cup, when Argentina won it, they beat France. Salt Bae, who's again Turkish, but he did spend some time in Argentina, but he somehow got on the field.
Yeah, like, I did see that
during the celebration.
But they was like him there.
No, of course they did. Why the fuck would they? But he's like jumping all over the players. He's like grabbing their medals that they get, and like biting them and stuff. And he somehow even got a hold of the trophy and took a picture with it and made Messi like hug him, who clearly didn't want to, and all this weird shit. And it's like, you know, how the fuck did that even happen? This is kind of a funny scandal. Early on in his career, as a culinary douchebag in 2018, he caught some heat for posting a video of him serving Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro while there was a famine happening in Venezuela. Nicolas Maduro's country, you know. So that didn't go over well. But yeah, some of his restaurants have closed down. Some of them are definitely struggling, but he's still got, you know, a healthy amount going strong. He's still putting shit out there. And I guess the type of people that he hit for to begin with, like, they're not, that whole deal probably ain't going to stop hitting for those people anytime soon, I would imagine. And I would imagine that, like, that's the crowd that doesn't really care if he's got scandals against not paying his 100%. Yeah, because I mean, you know, not to get all Shane Torres on here, though I will. Guy Fieri pays his workers like $20 a goddamn hour, gives to charity. Everybody fucking loves him. But the people sitting there eating at Salt Bae's restaurant would never go to Flavor Town, you know. And from what I'm hearing described by Salt Bae's restaurant, I bet you Guy Fieri's goddamn airport food probably hits just as good, if not better. You know what I mean? Yeah, 100%. I'm trying to think, though. This is a recurring theme on this show. I do not think, and I know he served presidents and shit like that, so fair enough. But I don't think that actual, like, especially like old money type rich people, you know, I don't think they'd be fucking with Salt Bae. I think they don't.
No, they hate that.
Miami coke dealers or whatever. You know what I mean? People that I know I keep bringing up he's just so Miami to me, even though he's from fucking Istanbul. But like that,
no, he Miami.
People who have some money, or even if they don't have that much money, they want to pretend for a night that they have money, and they're like, what's a fucking cool ass rich person thing to do? And they think that Salt Bae's Steakhouse is that.
Yes.
But actual like legit fancy people wouldn't be caught fucking dead in there. That's my assumption.
No, that's not like just your assumption. That's real.
Yeah.
I read an article not long ago, read an article or saw an Instagram video. They're all the same to me in my head now. That was basically, I don't know if they named Salt Bae, by person, but they were talking about like restaurants like Nobu, and like, Nobu is like the classic, like anytime, it's a lot of times two rappers will be on a podcast. One, like if you take a shot, anytime one of them mentions that they went to Nobu, you will get drunk as fuck. Mm-hmm. Right. And it's like Nobu, the Salt Bae places, any of them gold leaf places. Like those are for new money people or people who like hit one good lick and they want to take their wife to a thing and think like, oh, we're experiencing what rich people do. And it's like, no, you're not. Like you're in just a trash fantasy camp, realistically.
Right. The fact that you can even like get in the door proves that it isn't legit. Because like the other day I heard this story about how like, and by the way, I can't get in these doors either, but I heard a story the other day that Eli Manning told about Jackson Dart, the rookie quarterback for the Giants, who is about to make his first start this Sunday, by the way. But Eli told him, doing the whole mentor thing, he's like, listen, this is I know what this ride is like. Obviously, you're the biggest media market, highly scrutinized. You're playing the most important position, whatever. I've been there, done that. If you ever need anything, you can call me. If it's straight up X's and O's stuff or just like handling the media, pressure getting to you, whatever, just give me a call and anything I can do to help, I will. And he said, and I don't remember the exact name of the place, but he said Jackson Dart actually did call him a couple weeks later and he picked up and he was like, yeah, you remember how you said, if I ever need anything to just call? And Eli was like, yeah, buddy, sure. What's up? And he goes, you think you'd give me reservations to 11th Street Prime Rib tonight for me and my girl or whatever? And Eli was like, what? No. He was like, he's like, I didn't mean that. I'm not your fucking, concierge or whatever.
Right.
And it's like, he was like, you got to earn that shit yourself, because apparently this place, which I'd never even heard of. And again, the name is something like that, but it's not, but it's like a steakhouse in Manhattan that I think they have 12 tables in there.
Yeah.
Right.
That most of those places only do have. That's why they're booked for months.
And like, you can't get the starting quarterback for the New York Giants. Can't get in there.
Two Super Bowls.
No. Eli can get in there.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah.
He won 2 Super Bowls.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm saying Jackson Dart, he's a rookie, but he's still the starting quarterback for the New York Giants, and he can't get in there. Like he has to call in a favor to try to get in there, and it's like that is exclusivity. If you're fucking, if you are trying to take your old lady out for a fancy night on the town and, really, really pull out all the stops and do some rich people shit, you kind of can't. There's, again, a recurring theme. I bring this up all the time. You can't really do the actual thing. You have to do the facsimile of it that they allow regular people to do, because the actual thing, like places like that, don't allow you in there. No. Or me or Joe or any of us. And but that's like how that works.
And you can hand them a suitcase of money. It don't matter. They've only got 12 tables. But the thing about Eli is, like, a restaurant with 12 tables, even Eli's smart enough to know, like, I mean, I'm going to call them a couple days ahead. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to call them a couple days ahead. But like, yeah, dude, you can't just do that shit. Like, dude, when I went to the French Laundry, like, I went through a pretty big, like, it was like a month's, like I found out we were going and I started the process immediately, and I had to have Val help me out. And Val, like, I don't know who all he has in his phone, but like, I remember several times me and Val would be talking on the phone and Richard Lewis would beep in, So I don't know if it's hey, Richard, text Larry, which I know it wasn't Larry, but I'm just saying, like, Val had to do a thing for me months in advance to get me into the French Laundry. And it's not even as exclusive as half these places that you're talking about, because a lot of the places, you don't even know what they're called.
Right.
You know
exactly.
What I mean?
You can't,
Like, I do think that there are some old money people who still probably go to Peter Luger's because it's such an institution and they've had like their chair there for a long time. And it is good. And like, and I'll say, and I bet you St. Elmo is the same way, but my thing is like, bro, I would rather pay double the price at St. Elmo than go to Salt Bae's place for free. And I mean that with my whole chest. I mean that.
No, I agree completely.
And I'm talking not only eat there for free, they fly me out, give me the whole treatment. I'll take a cab to Indy and go to St. Elmo because, I mean, easily top 5 greatest meals I've ever had is just a shrimp cocktail, ribeye, and a baked potato at St. Elmo. And you know why? Because they just did it like that. They did it real simple. They didn't try to do no bullshit. It was
I was just there like less than 2 months ago, and I'm always been a ribeye guy too. But that place, St. Elmo's, it like a lot of steakhouses, it ain't open for lunch. But on the weekend, yeah, they'll open. I think through the weekend, I think you can actually get in at 3. But you know me, so my shows have become even earlier now on the weekends, which is for me. Yeah. But so like on a Saturday, my first show will be at like 6. Right.
Yeah. That's so too much.
I think me and Donnie got at like 3:30 or something, but the first show was at 6. And I was like, if I eat a whole ribeye, I'm going to fucking, I have 2 shows that night. So I called an audible and got a filet at St. Elmo's, which I know because fillets are small, you know?
Yeah. I bet it was so fire.
And dude, it like, I'm not saying that in the future that if I don't have shows to do that I would switch my order from a ribeye still, but like that converted me. I didn't think I was like a filet dude because I was like, no, if you got to be a monkey, be a gorilla. Fuck this shit. But that fucking thing was like meat cake, bro.
Yeah.
I swear to God, it was just incredible. Just like decadent, soft, tender, like fucking melted in your mouth perfectly. It was just absolutely a thing of fucking beauty. It was so good.
Listen, I'm not against the filet, and I'll tell you why. Especially at a really nice restaurant, because you know that it's going to be the filet is already the fucking most expensive and nicest part of the cow. So you know if it's a nice restaurant, that's going to be fucking primo shit. But like if I'm cooking, sometimes I do like to cook a filet, like if I'm in a hurry, because like there's no fat to render out, because that's the whole point of the filet is like it's not marbled, which is obviously why we like the ribeye, because there's a lot of fat. But what I like about a filet is that I set it out to like room temperature. By the way, guys, if you're cooking steaks and if you're cooking any type of meat and you're taking it straight from the fridge and putting it in the oven or whatever, you're doing it wrong. I'm here to tell you, and I'm not trying to be, and I mean chicken too. I mean everything should be room temperature, because otherwise. That's why, by the way, when you cook chicken according to your directions, you go, oh, but it's still pink in the middle. It's because it was cold as fuck in the middle and it didn't have time to cook as properly. And then when you have to do it again, you're going to get dry chicken because you've got to cook, the outside's cooking too. So you let that filet get to room temperature, and then you just grind your salt and pepper or this whatever. I like to do a pepper heavy mix because that's going to give you the best like actual charcoal looking char. Man, you can put that bitch to 500, 550 and just hit it for 45 seconds on all. It's easier to cook it on all 4 sides because you don't have to balance it, because it's more of like a little square thing. And you don't have to worry about, did I render the fat out? Is it going to be tough and gristly? No, dude. It's just you've got a charred outside and then you cut into it. And it is like, I hate to be gross, but it's like the cow's alive tongue. It's just so butter, just looking at you. And yeah, what I would like to do is for me and you to go to St. Elmo and me get a ribeye and you get a filet and us do a little switch. You know what I mean?
That's always a good move. Yeah.
Or another good move is a combination. If you're somebody that doesn't like marbling all the way through, but you do want a little bit of fat, there is absolutely nothing wrong with going to the New York strip. I enjoy going to a New York strip because you have the same situation as far as you don't have to render as much fat throughout the entire steak, but you've got that one thin layer of fat on the outside that you can either cut off for whoever doesn't like that fat, or what I do sometimes is I cut it off, cook my steak normal, and I cut it off and then cut it into little pieces and put that fat into my hot cast iron skillet and go ahead and start rendering it before I put my steak in there. And then I cook the rest of my New York strip in that rendered fat with some bacon grease or whatever. And then afterwards, you've got almost a filet in terms of texture with your New York strip that you've cut the steak off, but you've got these little almost burnt end crunchies that just explode with fat out of your mouth. So I would say to people, if you want a good in between, go there. If you're someone trying to be like, I'm normally a filet person, but I want a little bit of fat, I'd say maybe go to that. Sirloin, that's for salads. That's for salads. That's for stir fry. I'm not saying it's a bad cut of meat. I'm just saying a sirloin is when it's not the main player. Your sirloin is your backup quarterback, possibly even your third string. Am I wrong here?
Oh, no, definitely not. No, fuck a sirloin. I mean, whatever. I wouldn't kick a sirloin out of bed if that's all that there is. Yeah, right. But
I don't want to ruin
never ordering just like, if I'm getting steak at a place and they've got the classic cuts, like never in a million years am I going with sirloin. But I mean, I've only been exclusively ribeye until this filet experience, and now it'll be either ribeye or filet, depending on how much I want to defile myself, basically. But, although I've gotten like a tomahawk, I've gotten a porterhouse in the past.
Tomahawk now. Well, porterhouse is almost cheating.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's both.
Porterhouse is cheating, and then prime rib is like
prime rib is its own thing, in my opinion.
Exactly. Prime rib is the Texas of steaks.
Yes, 100%. There's a legendary institution here in Burbank, the Smokehouse, and I always get their prime rib. And
you can't always get it though. That's the thing.
Fine. That is true, but the times that I've been there, I've been able
never
to.
Once been when I could get it.
Oh damn, that sucks.
Yeah,
I've like almost only got
Travis's birthday. On Travis's birthday, we were able to get it.
But yeah, the Smokehouse is a steakhouse here in Burbank that's right across from Warner Brothers Studios. It's like classic old Hollywood shit. That's like Johnny Carson used to walk across the street and get drunk over there fucking after filming The Tonight Show and shit. It's fucking rules.
It's also why Clooney's production company is called Smokehouse Productions.
Oh, hell yeah. They form it while having dinner there?
Yeah, that was where they filmed ER on the Warner Brothers lot. So they would go to Smokehouse and have lunch, and then he started hitting, and Smokehouse was just very important to him. So when he started his first like LLC to like finance his first movie, it was like Smokehouse.
But they got they make killer martinis, of course.
So many movies you've ever seen.
Yeah, it's just great. But anyway,
their martinis are the reason I'm a martini drinker.
Right, they're fire, and they give you more. They give you extra. They set that little bonus martini for when you get done with the first one.
Because it was a similar thing to like you at the Smokehouse. Like you're like, well, I'm normally not a filet guy, but like we'll see. I was never. I didn't think I'm definitely not a gin martini guy. I'm a vodka. Martini
I get vodka. When I say martini, I mean vodka.
I want a vodka martini. But like we were at the Smokehouse, and it just like to describe it to people, like just like Trae described, but like they've changed nothing. Like, and especially if you're someone like me and Trae, who like, dude, me and Trae could sit here and tell old Hollywood stories till we were blue in the face. Obviously the ones that we weren't a part of, but I'm obsessed with that place. So you get in there and you are thinking, you're like, God damn, man, Ed McMahon might have sat in this seat. Johnny Carson might have been right here. And you see these old waitresses walk around. You're like, God, she's been waitressing here since the 70s. And I guarantee you she blew Louis B. Mayer. And like thinking, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but like she thought something was going to happen. It didn't. She's still here. And that just makes you go, you know what? I'll have what Johnny's having. And I had a martini, and I was like, I just ordered it the way I'd always heard it, extra vermouth, extra dirty or whatever. And man, I don't know if it was the atmosphere or whatever, but like a monster was born that day. A monster was born, because I can straight up put them bitches down. We better take a break.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah, at Steakhouse, it's either martini or Manhattan for me every time. Or if I'm feeling fancy, an old fashioned. Yes, exactly. But with that said, we are going to take a break, come back and do pro show
unless someone wants to die. But yeah, let's take a quick break.
When I was a kid, I couldn't wait for the future to arrive. I was like, man, the future's going to hit. Won't be upsetting or like soul crushing or nothing like that at all. It'll be just good stuff all the time. Hasn't turned out exactly like that. But one of the more minor annoyances of the future, from my perspective, is that you got to charge everything. All these devices they do hit. They're fun. Love me a gadget. But it's like, how many different things can a man keep up with charging? And they all got different cords, and it just ain't it. Your phone, your headphones, your watch, your Kindle. I had a Ring once that I had to charge. Why? You don't need to be charging rings anyway, but they're all different. I got a great beard trimmer I can never use again, because it's like a one-off charger that got lost when we moved, and so it's just dead to me now. It should be illegal. They should make them all have the same kind of charger. You know, we got AI robots, but you got to have 5 different cords tangled up in your overnight bag just to keep all your different devices going. It's stupid. Well, I'm here to tell you, those days are over. They can be over for you, thanks to this week's sponsor, Ridge. That's right. Just like Ridge revolutionized the wallet, Ridge has now changed the game for portable charging as well. This is Ridge's 5-in-1 travel power bank. It's got built-in cables that you can't see. You can't see no cable. You're like, I ain't got no cables. That's just a sleek, sexy future brick. It's got cables. Look at that. They tuck right in there. You can't even see them unless you want them to be seen, unless they're useful to you. That's right. They let you charge all your devices at the same time with just one power bank. No extra cables required. I already told you, it's very cool looking, very modern, very techie, tech noir. I call that just because noir means black, I think, in this tech stuff. It's pretty cool. It's got MagSafe wireless charging, charge your Apple Watch, lightning charger, USB-C, every single which way you need to charge something all in one premium device. You ain't got to juggle adapters and wall outlets at the airport just to get to 20% anymore. With 20 watts of power, this charges your phone as fast as it possibly can. And with a capacity of 10,000 mAh, I didn't go to electrical school, but it's something, MAH, something like power stuff, energy stuff. You've got up to full 3 phone charges in your pocket. That's the important part. It has MagSafe compatible wireless charging, so you can keep it magnetically attached to the back of your iPhone if you want permanent extra juice. And the newest iPhone just dropped, so make sure you pair it with a power bank that can actually keep up. Like everything Ridge makes, it's built to last with free shipping, a 99-day risk-free trial, and a lifetime warranty. This right here is the very last power bank you'll ever need, baby. If you don't like the black, which I don't understand that, matte black, that's the coolest of all blacks and all colors. That sounds weird, especially my accent, but you know what I mean. But they also got matte olive, base camp orange. They got things that just scream, I didn't pick this up last minute at the airport. I'm cool. I know what hits, you know. So think about it, y'all. It's only one thing to pack, but 5 ways to power. You can find Ridge's power bank at Best Buy or our preference. Our listeners can get 10% off at ridge.com by using the code POA at checkout. Just head to ridge.com and use the code POA and you're all set. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Ridge, they got cool shit.
You know, I'm a bro, and so I've taken my fair share of supplements back in the day, but the deal is that most of them are kind of a guessing game. You never really know what's in them. I mean, you trust, oh, well, that guy seems like he knows what he's talking about, so maybe, I don't know, it makes me tingle, so whatever. But some of them aren't even tested for label accuracy, and that is why I personally trust Momentous, right? And I know that I'm not, currently jacked, but that's just because I just started taking Momentous. So you wait, give me a couple weeks, all right? Their creatine is NSF certified for label transparency and trusted by pro athletes and even the U.S. military, baby. So I know I'm getting the best. A lot of supplement brands, they chase the trends, but if you're serious about your health, we know that research-backed science is what actually moves the needle. I know it is for me. Momentous works with the best brains in human science to create every single formula, and every batch is made of pure ingredients tested for safety and does not contain fillers. 0 fillers. This stuff ain't getting stepped on. You're getting the real deal, the best long-term results possible. And there's plenty of companies that claim to be the best, but they can't back it up. And like I said, the NFL teams use this, and they are elite performers. They can have whatever they want, and they choose Momentous, right? And like all their products, their creatine is built on transparency, backed by science, and held to the Momentous standard, which is also the Corey Ryan Forrester standard. And that's why I started taking Momentous creatine every day, right? I use it when I get up in the morning, right before I go for my walk, gives me a burst of energy. Then I go hit my Bowflex, all right? And again, you can't tell right now, but I've got a better pump going than I did a couple weeks ago. I promise you that. And it's a clean energy. That's what I like about it. It's a clean energy. And I still get to feel like one of the bros at the golf course talking about how I'm on my creatine, except for I know that my creatine's better than theirs. And that's why I've been telling them, like, dude, you got to switch to, you got to get on Momentous. All right. It's not just for muscle gains, by the way. It's daily fuel for your brain, body, and long-term performance. I have noticed that I've been a lot more clear-headed. Now, a lot of that probably has to do with the fact that I've sobered up, but I've been pretty sharp. I've been pretty on it. right? And like I said, it's backed by leading performance experts like Dr. Andrew Huberman and Dr. Stacy Sims, sourced exclusively in Germany. They want to pump you up, right? When I think of, getting a pump on, I do think of Germany. CreaPure, it sets the gold standard for creatine, delivering the purest form, creatine monohydrate. It's rigorously washed and never cut with fillers. Every single batch is independently tested for purity, safety, and label accuracy. They got travel packs, by the way, in lemon flavor, which I'm a huge fan of the lemon flavor. It makes staying consistent completely effortless. You just pop it in there, drink, good to go. Naturally flavored, perfectly portioned, and easy to mix with water anytime, anywhere. I actually mix it with my son's apple juice, but you don't have to. That's just me. With over 2,000 five-star reviews, over 112,000 customers have seen the results firsthand. With Momentous, the fundamentals are done right. Right now, Momentous is offering our listeners up to 35% off your first subscription. Y'all, that's a big deal. Order with promo code POA. So go to livemomentous.com and use the promo code POA for up to 35% off on your first subscription order. That's livemomentous.com, promo code POA for 35% off your first subscription of some great creatine that'll get you, let's face it, even more pumped than me. Skew!
Fellers, into the room, dick first. Why not? We going to come in butt first? That ain't it. No, dick first. Dick out. Dick strong. Leading with the dick. That's how Americans do it. Blue Chew, baby. Been with us for a while. We love them to death. Blue Chew ain't just a tablet. It's a cheat code for your crotchal area. Stronger, harder, longer lasting. All the good things you want a dick to be better at, Blue Chew can do it. It's like someone gave you downstairs a pep talk and a gym membership, baby. Imagine your dick doing bench presses. That's what I'm talking about. Fucking getting pumped. Blue Chew is the original brand offering chew. I got so pumped. I started it's fun. I'm talking about dicks. I started drooling. I don't know what happened. Just got saliva. I'm just fired up. Blue Chew is the original brand offering chewable tablets for better sex. It's wild. I tell you what, ever since I got on Blue Chew, I carry my encyclopedia Brick-tanic everywhere you go. Everywhere I go. You know what I'm saying? Talking about my dick wiener on hard, wiener bricked up, as the kids like to say. Just slinging it like a new jack all over my married household. You can ask my wife about it. She'll tell you. And laying it down for her. That's a bit strong, but it had nothing to do with Blue Chew. That's because of me. Blue Chew makes it a lot better for her. I can tell you that much. Shit works, baby. Works like you ain't never seen before. You'll look down and be like, whose dick is this? God damn. That's how I feel. Guys, it's not just about performance. It's about your legacy. Your third legacy, matter of fact. Give her group chat something to talk about. When you lay it down, they're talking about how it gets up. That's how it works. Nothing makes you more of a legend than a little Blue Chew, baby. Discover your options at BlueChew.com. And we got a special deal for our listeners. As always, get your first month of Blue Chew free. Totally free. That's what I said. All you got to do is pay $5 for shipping. That's it. Just use the promo code POA at checkout, and you get your first month of Blue Chew free. And if you pay $5 for shipping, can't get a better deal than that, especially in the dick game. All right. Join Blue Chew's mission to upgrade humanity one thrust at a time. Head to BlueChew.com for details and safety info. And big thanks to Blue Chew for continuing to sponsor this silly podcast of ours. One more time. First month of Blue Chew for free with $5 shipping. That's it. When you go to BlueChew.com and use the promo code POA. Blue Chew. Get you a new dick.
Y'all know that one guy in the group chat who hit that 5-leg parlay and wouldn't shut up about it for the rest of the season? Well, actually, in my group chat, that was me, because on the Super Bowl a couple years ago, I hit a 5-leg all Patrick Mahomes parlay. I can't remember what it was. He had to throw for over 250, rush for. Anyways, I hit it, made a bunch of money. Everybody was mad at me, but that could be you, because my bookie makes it stupid easy to get in on the action. College ball, NFL. They got contests and survivor pools, all the spreads, player props, and in-game lines you could want, all under one roof. And if you're new to my bookie, use our code POA, and any bet you choose up to $500 is fully covered. Why wouldn't you do it? Make your play, and if it doesn't hit, you get it right back when you opt in using your bet back bonus token. And remember to use the code POA. There is no better time to jump in and no better place to play. Football's back. Let's make some money with my bookie. Skew!
All right, and we're back. Procho, huh? What are we talking about?
Yeah,
Been a minute.
It has been a minute, but before Pro Show, I did want to tell you this thing right before, because now it's 2 weeks old and I forgot to tell you. I consider this week in fancy because this guy's a surgeon. That's fancy to me. Did you hear about the surgeon that was put in jail after the amputation of his own legs?
No.
Yeah. So this feller named Neil Hopper, allegedly.
Hopper? Hopper?
Neil Hopper of Cornwall.
Cut his own leg off? A man named Hopper?
That's so funny. Wow.
Nominative determinism, baby.
Wow.
Strikes again.
And it's fancy because I read it in the BBC. He's from Cornwall, right? Yep. He had carried out hundreds of amputation operations in his life, because that's what he do, before having his own legs removed in 2019, right? But the Truro Crown Court heard that he lied to insurers by claiming that injuries to his legs were the result of sepsis and not self-inflicted, even though what he had done was use dry ice to freeze his own legs so that they had to be removed, right? Because this guy was then also caught. He admitted to 2 counts of fraud and 3 counts of possessing extreme pornography, all of which contained a sexual interest in amputation.
Yeah, that's say. So this guy's
he's about that life.
Yeah, for obviously. And it's like, I'm going back and forth on like, who do you more want doing your amputation?
Couldn't agree more.
Than a guy who lives and breathes it. A guy whose whole life revolves around the absence of limbs. Like, if you got all your limbs, this dude don't want shit to do with you, including his own self. He could not live having all these limbs anymore. He's like, I got to get rid of some of these limbs. Fucking find out how the other half lives without the other halves. You know,
I couldn't agree more, man. It's sort of like how, like, you don't want your AA leader to be sober. You know what I mean? Like,
well, they're all sober.
No, I mean, like, have never drank.
A teetotaler.
Yeah. Yes. Like, and it was always too, like, and I felt like this was kind of true. Like, back in church, you know, they'd always bring in some new youth leader, and they'd be the youth leader until they relapsed again. But like, they'd all have the tattoos or whatever. And like, some of the parents would be concerned, like, this guy used to do heroin. And their argument was like, well, what better person to teach your kids about the grace of God than someone who has lived it? And like, I mean, frankly, I agree. Like, I wouldn't want to be sitting there being preached to by someone who'd never sinned and never done anything wrong. I don't want to be preached to anyways.
Here's why I think that this guy is different than that, though, is because in that scenario, ostensibly the hope is that guy is telling all these kids, he's a cautionary tale. He's telling them, like, listen, heroin will ruin your life. You don't want no part of it. Trust me. I know, I've been there. Right. Whereas, like, this dude, I get the impression is going to be like, and I guess this is what if you have no other choice but then to get your legs chopped off, I guess you do want a dude who's like, dude, it's the shit.
It's the shit.
Nothing on earth hits harder than not having legs. Take it from me. I'm fucking hard as a rock all day long since I got my legs chopped off. Not having legs is the cocaine of fucking body modifications or whatever. Because it's not like anybody gets their leg chopped off just because they want to. So
except for this
if you have to get your leg chopped off, I guess you do want a guy who's enthusiastic about a post-leg existence.
Especially when he's like, by the way, it's buy one, get one if you let me fuck it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if I can stick my wiener between that little, you know how the bone has a hole in it? I assume our leg, when you cut it off, looked like the hams I've seen in cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
You know how the ham bone,
I think
that
it's
ham
close
bone
enough.
got a little hole in it.
Yeah, well, it's got marrow up in there.
Yeah, it does have marrow. So, pro show this week. Yeah, we're back. I'd actually gotten an email that was like, hey, we haven't had a pro show in a while. And I was like, well, you know, he says a lot of stuff. And all my pro shows are very wordy. And we both, you know, like and I tag on to Trae a lot. And then we end up being, basically, if I don't announce I'm doing a pro show, we're never going to have time to do it because we get on tangents, right? Which is neither of our faults. But because of that email, obviously, I took it personal. And so, as I do.
Surely not.
But it just happened to work out. So I'm not going to say the app that I'm using because they're not sponsoring this podcast and I don't want it to seem like that. But I am definitely going to message them about like, hey, I use this for this show and it hits for me. But there's this app where like, I told you recently I deleted Twitter, and there's this whole movement now of like people, they're like, get rid of doom scrolling and micro dose learning, like every time you think to doom scroll. And I would just like go on Reddit or whatever, which is like, it is less doom scrolly than Twitter for sure, but it's still in the same vein. So there's this app that's like, hey, it's got custom tailored little stories that you can swipe through, and it's the same dopamine as like you're being on Twitter, but you're learning stuff this whole time. And so I got it all like, what are you interested in? And of course, I'm like, the fucking Roman Empire. You know what I mean? Definitely. And so I started scrolling through it. And at the end, it gives you like a quiz. And I was like, this is the most I've retained from any fucking thing in the world. This is great. So I want to talk to you today about Maximinus Thrax. You ever heard about this feller?
I don't know yet. I don't think. I mean, obviously, Maximinus sounds like a very sort of generic Roman-y name, but Thrax isn't doing anything for me yet.
I've also been watching a lot of Eddie Izzard, so while I was creating this syllabus, I apologize if any of it sounds like I'm trying to do an Eddie Izzard thing, but, what are you going to do?
This guy a charioteer?
He did some charioteering, for sure. He did a lot of stuff.
But he wasn't like the Max Verstappen of charioteering.
No, absolutely not. Okay. Absolutely not. So let me paint the scene for you, right? We're in Rome, it's all the sandal people. It's all marbly. And everybody's all like, they had been conquering a lot. And then there's this dude named Maximinus Thrax, right? And he doesn't so much enter as he does fucking like announces his presence with authority. He is enormous. Right now, I'm going to say something right now that there's no way it's true. There's no way it's true, but it didn't come from the Bible, so I'll just pretend that it is. He apparently was 8 foot tall.
Okay.
Like 8 foot tall. So like legit Goliath, which like in one of these things, they're like, in Roman times, this was very tall. Bitch, first off, but at any time, like, dude, imagine like nowadays, like no one has really ever, you can't conceive standing next to Shaq. You can only, like, you see Kevin Hart pictures, but then it's like, well, how short's Kevin Hart? It's sort of like Midget Mark holding that fish. You don't really know. Mm-hmm. But like 8 foot tall dude, like, that's insane. And like my brother-in-law, who he's 6'4", but I'm very used to that, like I'm very used to that. People back then wasn't even 6'4".
No, like, not even close.
Back in this time, the like, right pre-Caesar time or whatever, dude, people was faux, if best. Like he's twice the size of motherfuckers, right?
Right. Yeah. Most of the people who are that tall, have a thing wrong with them, right? There's a word for it that I don't think is just gigantism. There's some other word for it. Acromegalia or something like that.
That's what Andre had.
What Andre the Giant had. A lot of them, that's not the only thing that can do the pituitary gland things and shit, but like something makes them be that huge. That's why they don't live that long. I'm just assuming that because those are essentially disorders or conditions, whatever you want to call them, that they've probably always been around, right? Meaning like even in ancient Roman times when a regular person was 5 foot tall, still if you got acromegalia or however you say it, you know what I mean? You could still be 7 whatever.
Right.
But it still had to be wild as hell. Because my whole life, I don't think I've ever in person encountered someone, a 7 footer.
We had a dude that went to Gordon Lee that was 7'2".
Damn.
And he was, and I mean, he doesn't listen to this podcast, but he was so bad at basketball.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times it's hard to be like coordinated and shit when you're that huge. He didn't
want to play. They just were like, dude, you have to. But he had like a size 29 or 30 shoe. Like, bro, he just couldn't move. Like he couldn't.
Yeah. Well, a lot of them can't, that's why the ones like Wimby and them that are like athletic and that are, like aliens basically.
Yeah. Now, football, he could just get in the way you know, but he didn't like that, so he didn't do it. But great guy, but he basically was one of the. It was unfortunate that like everybody just kept screaming at him to do sports, and he was like, "I just like to whittle," you know, like shut up, quit, right? So this dude comes around, and I mean, is just this massive.
Did he have a deep voice? That guy?
I
just want to sit on the porch. No, I'm talking about your buddy.
Oh,
with a pocket knife and a stick.
Not really.
I don't want to play football.
It's funny. He wasn't stupid. He was actually a very intelligent dude. And his voice was, I would say his voice
prefer geometry class and trigonometry to playing basketball.
Yeah.
I'd rather solve differential equations.
That's great.
Than taking a 3 technique in the A-gap.
You sound like you're the person. You sound like you're the black.
He talks.
You sound like the black guy that comes in right at the end of "It's a needy beat." You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
All these girl strippers hitting on my wiener.
Right. Yeah,
got a fucking hot dog in my fucking zipper. Yeah, whatever.
Smoking weed and dirty Sprite.
Yeah.
Wild for the night, foot beer blood.
Yeah, you were actually doing that really good without a voice modulator. Yeah. He started his life as a shepherd in Thrace, which is a place.
That's where Spartacus is from.
There you go. Which is not normally the career path for someone who is eventually going to become emperor, right? It's like it literally would be like starting as a sheep wrangler in Wales, and then you're the prime minister, I guess, right?
Yeah, this is Rome, so it's a little different, but I feel like a lot of those civilizations that existed at that same time, like the Vikings and Mongolians and some of them, my headcanon is basically like, oh shit, he the biggest one of all of us. He the king now. Yes. You know what I mean? Like if you just were the biggest of all those people, it's like you just get to be in charge of everybody.
No,
you know,
you are correct
in warrior days and shit.
You're 100% correct in that is definitely how it worked in the Viking and the Nordic and like the old Germanic or whatever, but that was not how it worked in Rome.
Yeah, I know. That's what I thought.
And I mean, I'm burying the lead here, but just in case we don't get to it, like he was the first emperor of Rome to not come from either nobility or work his way up through the Senate. Like he's basically, I mean, he's sort of Trump in a way. In that he didn't go about it in the north, except for I think this guy, to me, he hits for me, right? So one day, like I said, he was huge, but he was a shepherd, but he was also this big ass sumbitch. So what he did for a job was like the emperor would hold, like at the time it was Septimus Severus, which is I don't know if that's where she got Severus's name for Harry Potter, but he was the emperor at the time, and he would hold the military games like Colosseum type stuff. Chariot racing, lions eating the fucking interns Christians, or whatever. Yeah. And then Maximinus shows up, right? Just a shepherd, right? And because, even then, like, we've talked about this before, like, aside from the ones when they was slaves, like, obviously they would make slaves fight and stuff. But, like, Jaime from Game of Thrones, like, the nobleman fought in stuff like this. Like, you didn't get out of stuff back then for being noble. Like, it was your noble pursuit to like, no, God damn it, I'm representing this family and I'm gonna go fucking fight this lion, right? But he's just a shepherd dude, and he just comes up, and the emperor sees him, and he's like, hey, fucking look at you there, enormous man. Would you like to wrestle my soldiers? And Maximinus is like, sure, fuck it. And they made him wrestle 16 trained soldiers, and he beat the fuck out of all of them, like all 16
sequentially, one at a time, karate movie style. Or
I think it was a little like that, where they kind of have to,
like a gauntlet.
Whereas in the movie, it's funny. It's like, hey guys, you could all team up on John Wick if you wanted to,
but they just don't.
But dude,
but in this case, that was like the way that it works.
Yeah, like, but dude, my argument still is like, though, he's still, after beating the shit out of the 15th guy, he's still worn out. You know what I mean? Like
people that big, like he was worn out halfway through the first one, probably.
Absolutely.
But he was just so much bigger and stronger than the rest of them. It just didn't matter.
Right. It had no bearing on the deal. And so they were, of course, like, okay, well, you got to join the army. And he's like, absolutely, whatever. So he joins the Imperial Army, and from there he's climbing the ladder. You know, he's been soldiering, campaigning on the frontiers, just being fucking huge. He served under Caracalla. Do you remember that fella, Caracalla? I think he might have come up when we were talking over some other things, but which was Severus. He served under Caracalla and under Severus Alexander. He fought the Germans. He fought the Dacians. Is that how you say that? Or the Dacians?
I don't know. Dacians. But I don't know. I'm not sure.
In my head, when he fights the Germans, this is like the same Germans we saw in Gladiator, like old Germania or whatever. Like
definitely
when they first, and this would be before, because this is. I think this is before. No, this might be after Marcus Aurelius. They might have had to fight him again.
Those Germanic tribes were constantly causing shit for the Romans. Right? Yeah, right.
Yeah, and never really stopped until we made them. So the soldiers absolutely loved him. Like they loved this guy because even though he was big, like he did the same shit that they did. He didn't really get a big head about anything. He could also, carry their entire tent for him at any time. Like they just load him up with shit. Like I'm certain he could probably carry a donkey if he needed to. Fast forward to 235 AD, the emperor at this point is still is Severus Alexander, and he is not popular with the troops. They fucking hate him. He's the kind of emperor that when he was faced with the German invasion, he was like, "Oh, let's just negotiate. Let's pay them off. Maybe they'll go home if we give them, schnitzel or something." And the soldiers, it pissed them off because soldiers. I guess hell still, they like to fight. Like these soldiers were like, no, fucking, we came here to fight. We want to fight, which like none of that ever makes sense to me. Cause it comes up in like, maybe me and you have talked about this before, but it comes up in like cop shows a lot where like something will happen and a cop will get in a little bit of trouble, but they can't determine whether it was like his fault or not, but they know they still got to suspend him. So they're like, you're suspended 2 weeks with pay, right? They'll suspend him with pay. Mm-hmm. And the cop will be like, fuck you.
This is bullshit. Yeah.
Fuck you. This is bullshit. Let me do my job. And I'm like, bro, you just got the greatest deal in the world. Like, what are you talking about? And like, to me, if I was one of the soldiers and they were like, well, I think we might just negotiate with them, I'd be like, ooh, okay, yeah, fuck yeah. But like, I mean, some people, and I guess like
back then too, there was all that like honor and glory shit, living in eternity, being fucking, whatever.
Going to Valhalla.
Yeah, well, they didn't have Valhalla, but I was about to say being like, favored by the gods, like all that type of shit.
Yeah.
Like they were, they believed all that shit. So they would they wanted to get down. And I'm sure there were still plenty of people that got pressed in the service and were like, I really hope we don't fucking fight these barbarians today because I'm not feeling it. But there were a lot of them that had that, had that dog in them that was like trying to get over there and
especially the Romans,
shove some swords up some buttholes and stuff. In the name of Zeus.
I mean, dude, clearly, like, had the Romans
Jupiter.
Not had
Zeus is Greek, I think, and then the Romans turned Zeus into Jupiter. Yeah,
him into Jupiter.
Pretty sure
very
that's
unoriginal
right.
stuff that they did. It's almost like that's how it just always is. You know what I mean? Like, not to go there, but like, there are texts older than the Bible that have the exact same story structure as Jesus. There's an Egyptian one, and it always has something that, like, there's instead of a star, it's the sun, but it's always like born of a virgin. They always got to come back. And like, and then people always talk about how they're like, oh, Star Wars and Harry Potter ripped that off. And it's like, dude, it's just kind of a fire. It's the hero's journey. Like, it's the we love the hero's journey. Also, this is funny, and I just now thought about it. Like, I've been, I would say I was religious until I was about 9, and then that's when it sort of all fell apart for me when I was like, I don't know about, it's just conveniently that we just happened to be born in the place where our God hit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like shit just stopped making sense to me. And so from like, but I didn't know what atheism was. I just knew that I like didn't believe our bullshit. And then from like 13 until probably 24, I was like atheist, you know. But then after that, I would consider myself more agnostic. And I think that like my pretentious belief is that everyone is agnostic, whether they want to admit it or not, because agnostic literally just means I don't know, and nobody does. You know what I mean? So like, therefore, to me, everyone's agnostic.
I think a lot of them Muslims is about that life, bro. I know that they can't. They literally can't actually know the truth, but faith is knowing in the absence of evidence or whatever, and like they think that they know.
No,
like there's no doubt in their minds whatsoever. Like,
no, you're 100% correct. I was literally just talking like from a theological like standpoint of like obvious, you can't. It's literally impossible to know. But you're right. They're like all religion's whole thing is based on like we know, and matter of fact, any evidence you suggest to me only strengthens my faith because I was taught that that's the devil, you know, testing me or whatever. Yeah, I try. Somebody's doing it now, and it's really good. But in my early days of comedy, when I wish I'd have thought of this premise later when I could actually make jokes. But it was basically the premise was like it was right. You know, I started doing comedy not long after 9/11, and like basically the premise was like I think all Islamophobia is just Christians being real jealous that they clearly don't fuck with they God the same way that Muslims fuck with they God. Because like a Christian will literally do the easiest sin to not commit. They'll just do it and then be like, oops, that's my vice. Where it's like, dog, them motherfuckers over there, like I saw Mundami or whatever, like somebody had like some MAGA troll had posted a picture of like them eating bacon and they're like doing this just to piss Mundami off. And Mundami was sent it back. He's like, buddy, like we don't not eat bacon because like we do that because we think it's an unclean animal. You know what I mean? Like we don't care that you do. Like we don't think the pig is sacred. We just think it's dirty. You know what I mean? And like, we're not sitting there. Now, I'm certain that some Muslims are like, I would like to know what it tastes like. But, you know, Barack has probably tried it, I'd say. A couple times. Just to... Yeah, because Muslim, you know he's clearly a Muslim, and he had to pretend he's a Muslim that drinks beer, eats bacon, and goes to a Christian church to foil
and also
America,
God's plan,
and for some reason, and God's plan, and for some reason, at 16 years on, he hasn't explained what that great plan is. My point is about the whole religion thing. So I haven't believed in any type of God for a very, very long time. But I think that like up until 5 years ago, I kind of actually still did believe that when those Roman soldiers died, they went to Elysium. You know what I mean? Like I really did. Like there was still part of me that was like, yeah, but Valhalla's real. You know what I mean? And that's so stupid, but that's just how much I like Gladiator.
I don't know. I think you could argue it makes just as much sense as just about anything. That any given person's sort of afterlife experience is almost kind of self-manifested somehow. I'm not saying I believe that. I'm saying fucking why not? Like,
it's DMT coming if any of it,
but I mean, even outside, even outside of just that. Now, I don't have a mechanism for how it would work, and I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just saying that's no more like illogical or nonsensical than a lot of the proposed. Exactly. But what you were saying about Christians being jealous of Muslims or whatever, they're like, I remember one of my buddies who got deployed to Iraq, one of my few, several buddies had to go over there. When he came back, he was like, dude, I'm telling you, people don't understand, bro. He's like, there's nothing in this country that we care as much about or as fanatical about or whatever as they are about their religion. He's like, I know we got Christians and church people, whatever over here. He's like, it ain't even, it's not even. He was like, it ain't even the
Westboro,
same
dude.
fucking thing. He was like, and Americans don't realize or understand that. He was like, the closest thing that we have is like a parent's love for their children or whatever, like that type of thing. And he was like, but even that, you know, they'll strap bombs on their kids in the name of fucking Allah or whatever. That, you know, so it's like, so even that is like a level up. But it's one of my favorite bits ever from Lavelle Crawford about that exact thing from that era, like not that long after 9/11, sometime in the 2000s. He had a bit that was like, you know, I don't remember all of it, but he's talking about, you know, Christians think they, you know, really about Christianity and all that or whatever. He's like, but not like Muslims, though. Let me tell you right now. And he's like, you know, yeah, Jesus said you need to pray and do this and do that. It was like, well, I'm happy to do it for my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and whatever. It's like, hey, Jesus said, if you strap this bomb on your chest, run in that mall and blow all these people, whatever. And he's like, I don't know Jesus like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that bit. Speaking of Lavelle, for literally 2 seconds, who I love, he's lost so much weight, but I don't think he's lost any in his neck because now I can understand him. Anyways, I like just straight up believed in that Elysium shit. There was also part of that, like before I completely went atheist or whatever, I was like, I think they're all real. Like, I think that's the deal, is that if you're Muslim, you do go to Muslim heaven. And if you're a Christian, you do go to Christian heaven. Yeah, I know it was because my buddy Savin did acid, and his whole, I think I might have told you this before, his acid trip was, he was like the Watcher from Marvel, and he saw the whole planet. Like, he was up there and he saw the whole planet, and he realized that we are all aliens coming from these specific gods. Like, Jesus is from an alien tribe, Muhammad's from an alien tribe, all that, and they sent us down here, and they are all real, and that's why we're at war, is because of them, and whoever wins keeps the earth, and that's where the dominion is. And I was like, bruh, I mean, makes as good a sense as any. You know what I mean? Anyways, fuck all that shit. Like I was saying, Severus Alexander, not very popular with him because he was trying to pay him off and negotiate, and all of them were just like, absolutely not. You know, we want to fight. And they didn't. They were like, we're not doing this. So the troops are very, very mad, and they look around and they're like, hey, who's the biggest motherfucker we got? And of course, it was Maximinus. He's huge, battle hardened, and just, I mean, well, he's just, I don't know. He's like Big Dan Teague. He's just bigger than life. So the army mutinies. They murder Alexander and his mama, which I don't think they had to do, but like, whatever they did. And then they just say, hey, Maximinus, you're the emperor, dude, because we killed this guy and you hit for us. And like, he's like, oh, okay, I guess. Like, he doesn't he's not a bad guy, but they're all sitting there just like, we want the giant, and he's just like, all right, fuck it, whatever. So now this dude who was literally just a shepherd who happens to show up and start wrestling is now the goddamn emperor of Rome.
Yeah.
And like I said, this is
to be fair, they ended up literally doing that whole Viking Mongol of like, who's the biggest sumbitch here? Let's make him king.
My whole point was
normally in Rome it don't work that way. Right.
That was my point, is like they do like, this might have been the thing that started that, at least for the Roman Empire, because like, the Roman Empire is very wild, and obviously there's entire podcasts with thousands of episodes that still haven't even scratched the goddamn surface of it. But like, it really does go back. When you read about the Roman Empire, it goes back and forth. And within, just a couple decades or eras of like the most barbaric shit you've ever seen, and then also the most posh, democratic, like paradise type shit that you've ever seen. Like in America, like we're obviously watching our pendulum swing one way, but when their pendulum swung, I mean, oftentimes it would come because they murdered the emperor, so now there's got to be a new emperor. But oftentimes it would be like how when Commodus did it, like I'm gonna be the guy as long as I can kill my daddy, because it normally would pay. but actually before them, a couple decades before them, this is right before they even started doing the bloodline shit, because for a while they didn't do the bloodline shit. They did it based on merit, right? Which is what Marcus Aurelius wanted to do with Commodus. Like, hey, I know my sons did this, but like that ain't how it should be. And, you know, that's a good thing. I wish we would elect on merit in this country. That would be nice. So where am I here? I lost my place.
He's just been
in
made
my notes.
the emperor.
Right. So he's just been made the emperor. Dude, you know, again, used to be a shepherd. Now he's the emperor. And he doesn't actually, though, like he never, once they claim him emperor, he never really even went to Rome, like to go like get, I guess, knighted or like take whatever type of oath it was.
Like a coronation. I don't know what they called it back then.
I don't know what they called it either. I should, because I'm doing this, but like he doesn't go do that. Like he ruled entirely from like military camps. Like he would just fucking, I don't know, I guess it would be like running a company on Twitter or something like that. Or like he's just sending carrier pigeons like, hey, this is what you should do. And he does that because he's like, hey, man, I didn't sign up for this shit. I'm a military guy, and me being a military guy is what made y'all want me to be ruler. So I'm going to practice what I preach, and I'm going to stay out here with my boys, and we're going to get shit done. So he's a complete military emperor.
I was about to say, that was a pretty common thing. I mean, they weren't all like that, but it was definitely not that rare for an emperor. There's plenty. Alexander the Great and fucking, like you said, Julius. I mean, a lot of the most famous ones were like that, basically served entirely from you know, the war path.
Right. And that's why they're famous. I mean, like, dude, if George Washington is not on the $1 bill if he just was our first president. It's him being in the boat. You know what I mean? It's him being in the boat. And like, say what you will, like Andrew Jackson was about that life too. There was a bunch of them motherfuckers. Teddy Roosevelt. There was a bunch of them. Boy, we need to get back to that shit. You know what I mean? We need to get back to that shit. Send them motherfuckers over there. Every goddamn I know we don't do politics, but this is for every country. Every senator, like how in Israel, you got to serve 2 years in the IDF, like when you turn 18. Before you are going to be elected, you got to go do one tour somewhere. You got to go do one tour somewhere, whether you're fucking peeling potatoes or I don't give a fuck what. You got to go over there. If you're going to be deciding on this shit, you got to see what the fuck it was. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that means, I guess that would mean that I want an entire Senate and Congress full of just military people.
That's the problem, because it's like that. That's essentially how it worked in like Starship Troopers, which is a satire of a fascist utopia. But, you know, service guarantees citizenship, and only citizens can vote or serve or any of that stuff. You have to be you don't have to be in the military, but if you don't be in the military, you have fewer rights than other people. And it's like, there's just obvious issues with that. But I mean, I do hear you though. People shouldn't be making this. It's more like you got to be willing to. You got to be willing to either go yourself or send your own son or whatever to fucking, if you're going to sign off on starting a fucking war, and they're not. But that's the problem.
I do think that there would be, I don't know what it would be split like, but like obviously there would be people that it would hit for them so hard to be in the army that they would come back, and vote for more war. But I also think
some of them are John McCain or whatever, and it's like some of them, but you just never know. It's like you said, some of them are fucking right. Some of them are,
you never know.
They bout that life. They dicks get hard for that shit, and so they love war and want to stay warring. And then, but some of them, you know, go to war and come back and they're like, war ain't it, you know.
Oh, how about this? I think they should, and they don't have to go to war, but they should be put in a room for 24 hours straight in one of those rooms that, have you ever heard about the quietest room on earth? That the most anyone's ever been able to stay in it is 12 minutes because you can't handle. They should be put in a room similar to that with their eyes like fucking clothespin open and watch journalists beheading videos for that's what they should do.
They went from Starship Troopers to Clockwork Orange, but either way, I get where your head's at. Yeah, right.
You got it. Well,
got to teach these fuckers something somehow.
Right now, something. So anyways, he's really popular because he's a huge, you know, big soldier or whatever, but also because he's a military emperor. What he decided to do was he's like, hey man, you know, the reason that Rome is because of these soldiers. So he doubled their pays, handed out donations to all their family to keep them happy, to keep them wanting to go out there and murder all the Germans and shit. But as you know, anyone will always ask, well, how do you pay for that? Well, it was taxes, right? It was taxes, but it was like, fairly violent, extortionist taxes. His collectors were basically thugs with abacuses and whatnot. But they were, like, this is the part that hits for me, the people that they were going for the most was the super rich senators. Like, they were taxing everybody. They were taxing everybody, but they were like, but this guy needs to pay more because he has more money. Kind of how it should work, right? Well, and like I said, they show up at all these villas just like, nice estate you've got there. It'd be a shame if someone crucified your accountant. And so he also raided the Alimenta, which was the fund meant for orphans. That's not good. I will say this. That's not good. But also, I kind of just figured they ain't have orphans. If I'm being honest with you, I thought it was either they're
needed something to
pick
fuck,
up a stick
Can't just be the sheep all the time and the whores. Yeah, right. Definitely not going to pay them for it. But you know how they was with all that sort of thing.
Well. That's so true, man. So he's out there in the mud fighting the Germans, the Dacians, the Samaritans, some of whom were good, I've heard. And there's one story where he leads troops through a swamp waist deep in the muck, personally charging the Alamonia and floundering about like fucking Shrek in the swamp, just yelling forward, forward, sort of like that scene in Tombstone when Wyatt Earp just like runs through the river, and it kind of worked. And like it did work out. Like he did just like by himself just start stabbing and killing a whole bunch of people. But like I said, the Senate absolutely hated him because he's taking their money, and they are used to emperors being from their own aristocratic circles, so they would never dare to fuck with take taxes from the Senate. You exclusively take it from the poor people. So now you've got this Thracian giant who used to wrestle sheep, and now he's giving orders. The Senate doesn't trust him. He doesn't trust them, and what he does is he purges a bunch of the suspected conspirators and he executes them, and then fills the top jobs with his own soldiers.
Classic.
Which, what are you going to do? Well, that didn't make the other senators any happier, obviously, but they were a little too scared to say much until they see an opportunity, and that opportunity was in the Gordian. I think I'm saying that right. The Gordian Revolt. All right, 238 A.D. There's some very rich landowners in Africa who they are also sick of Maximinus's tax collectors, because as you know, Rome, like they everybody down, they everybody, right? So one of the dude tries to seize their estates through this like dodgy legal ruling, and all the landowners snap and they killed said person, and they're like, well, we've just murdered the emperor's man. I guess we may as well take this further. So they grabbed the local governor, Gordian the First, who is an old man in his 80s, which like that gotta be that old for back then. And they're like, hey, you're the emperor now. We're just gonna make you the emperor. And he's like, all right. So the Senate in Rome,
meaning just of these African colonies of Rome. They're like, fuck it, we're breaking from Rome, we're being our own thing, and you're our emperor. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, right. Well, the Senate in Rome seizes on this, and they declare, because I guess they determine that Maximinus, I know people are like, we know this guy and you're saying it wrong. Their thought is like, he's the reason that this happened. They were so sick of him that they revolted. Therefore, he's bad for diplomacy or whatever, and they declare Maximinus a public enemy, which in Rome is, not good. Being the public enemy, they're going to
ain't good here either.
It's kind of like, it's not good, but like we
during like prohibition, I guess it was cool, but generally most places, most times you don't want to be a public enemy. I don't think the enemy of the public,
agreed.
you know.
No, I agree. And like, listen, aside from like, you know, what happened last week, if you're an enemy of the public in America, you're still going to like get a trial or something.
There was actually, I was trying to think because like there was, I was like, oh, you know, like a rapper, I know that kind of thing. Like I said, those old outlaws and rappers shit hits for them. But I realized there was a public enemies. There was an album, or at least I don't remember the name of the album for sure, but I know that the lead single off the album was called Public Enemy #1. And I think it might have been the name of the album too. And it was by the artist known as Sean Puff Daddy Combs. So that's
true.
You know, even that kind of worked out similarly in the end.
But is he
see, I don't even know. I mean, I think so, right? But it's like he got
real quick.
He got off like relatively light, but he still got some, right? Like, isn't it? I've already forgot. I didn't really even keep up with it.
Dude, so much has happened. So, anyways, they declare him a public enemy, and Maximinus, who at this point is in Sererium with his legions, goes fucking full Hulk, gathers all his soldiers who were still loyal to him because they might have not got the word yet. Because, like, you remember, in like Maximus had the loyalty of his soldiers until Commodus said nah, and then they were like, I don't know what to tell you, right? So he marches into Italy. But the Senate has rallied. They've installed 2 more emperors, which had never happened. They had like dual emperors, Babinus, and I did look up how to pronounce this person's name. I'm going to spell it for you, and you tell me how you would pronounce it. Pupinus.
Pupinus. Pupinus. Oh, Pupinus. Yeah, right.
Pupinus. Oh, Pupinus is how
Wait, for real? That's how it's actually said? Pupinus?
That's how it's. I looked it up to where there's this website where you can be like, how is this word pronounced? And it'll have a person like say it. They said Pupinus. So I'm going with Pupinus. So Maximinus lays siege to Aquila, which is a city in northern Italy, and the people of Aquila. You tell me how you'd say this. Aquileia. Aquilia.
Yeah, I guess Aquilia. I don't know.
Aquilia. So the people there, instead of cowering, they actually mocked him and they shouted insults and stuff at the walls while they were throwing refuse and like, you know, fucking tomatoes at his face or whatever. The siege drags on, supplies run low, disease spreads. Obviously, his soldiers, many of whom have families in Rome, are thinking like, okay, dude, fuck this. This is not worth it, which makes Maximinus pretty furious. To enforce discipline, he starts punishing all the deserters, but eventually the troops were like, fuck this, let's kill him. And they do. In May 238 AD, soldiers stormed his tent and killed both him and his son. Empire moved on. His body was desecrated. I assume they raped every hole that he had just because they definitely did that to his son for sure. They left him unburied. They sent his head to Rome. And that was, by the way, his head going to Rome and being placed in the Senate is the first time he ever set foot in the Capitol ever.
Set head.
Oh,
set
yeah. What'd I say?
First time he ever set head.
That's when he
in actual Rome, in the Senate.
Yeah. Now, obviously, history, which is written not only mostly by the victors, but also by the senators, right, paints this guy as a barbaric tyrant, half human, half sheep fucker, monster, whatever, cruel, greedy, obsessed with war. And, you know.
Yeah, seems like he was. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was. He was. But at the same time, in his defense, he literally was just a soldier doing soldier shit, and they said, hey, how about you be emperor? So, like, I mean, goddamn, man. Like, if he'd have done all the same shit except not been emperor, it would have been like, yeah, that's just a Tuesday for a Roman soldier. But, like, This is what happens when you give someone who has no experience the job of ruling the most powerful nation on fucking earth. And so, yeah, that's what happened. So to catch everybody up, I made a list of just in case you wanted to remember the 20 craziest things he did. He was allegedly 8 feet tall. He used to be a shepherd. He wrestled and beat 16 soldiers. Never once set foot in Rome. He was the first barracks emperor, which is what they call him, which means the military voted him in. He murdered Severus Alexander, which is like a corporate takeover. He had that German campaign in the swamps. He was super obsessed by the military and doubled their pay, so little like Bernie. He drained the orphans fund, which is not good. He was declared a public enemy. He got caught up in the Gordian revolt, and he had the siege in Aquileia, which led to him being assassinated in his tent and them raping his body. And there you go. And that was that dude who I'd never once heard of this person. I don't know if hopefully that's not because he doesn't hit to hear about, since I just spent 50 minutes talking about him. But he popped up on that app, and I hope they sponsor us so I can tell everybody about this app, because that was certainly more beneficial to me than doom scrolling on Twitter.
Yeah, Maximinus Thrax. Big old wild son of a bitch. That's what he was. You got any airmail?
I do. How much time you have? I've got some good ones. Okay. Here's one. Subject line: fuck bots. Sounds like you and Trae haven't seen the movie Companion that came out earlier this year, but exactly like how you guys were discussing about fuck bots, but with some extra twists. Definitely watch it.
No, I hadn't even heard of it. Oh, wait, I did know about this because Jack Quaid's in it. But
Jack Quaid, yeah, who, by the way, I got to tell you, really enjoying Jack Quaid's ascension into Hollywood leading man. And hope that it continues, because I like him a damned, I say.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just watched Novocaine, and
Novocaine's great, isn't it? And it's so much fun.
They wrung every last drop out of that premise and had a whole lot of fun with it. I mean, it's completely ridiculous, of course, but it's supposed to be. It's like very much a suspension of disbelief.
Dude, I thought
fun little action romp, but yeah, I loved it when I was reading responses on Reddit about it or whatever. There were people bringing up Companion and being like, man, Jack Quaid's on a roll right now, this and Companion. But so I need to go watch it.
I think that he has a chance to. We'll never see stars like we used to, because box office just isn't a thing anymore. But like, he's got a little Tom Hanks in him, where like he's doing, like, early in Tom Hanks's career, he was doing the funny stuff, the silly stuff, the whatever. And then built up to being viable as a romantic lead. And then as he gets older, I could see it, but yeah, you're right. Novocaine, man. It's like, I too thought like, and it was only like a 90-minute movie, but I was like,
love that.
Me too. But like, they had to make, because of what you said, I was like, how fucking far can they stretch this one thing? The answer is 90 minutes, and they did it, and it was great. Subject line: 2 Chainz already did it. You can say my name. Have you guys seen 2 Chainz' Most Expensivest? It's awesome. You guys could put the red spin on that. They're obviously referring to last week when we pitched our show about going and doing fancy things. But see, the difference is 2 Chainz is rich and hits, and we don't. Right. So that's what I would say to that. But thank you, Jeremiah, our Amish listener, I assume. Subject line: shameless praise and a dark limerick. Dear Corey and Trae, I'm a Chicago-born carpetbagger of the polite migratory sort, the kind who traded L trains and pizza by the inch for misty ridges and corn liquor wisdom because a particular brunette, whose virtues are best measured in cups of coffee and compromise, proved more persuasive than winter and common sense combined. Hemingway over here.
I was about to say, goddamn Lord Byron writing in with this one. Goddamn.
I now ply the highways as a Parapilot. This dude fucking rules. My proud attempt to rebrand truck driver into something the world can't immediately pigeonhole. We are not, as rumor insists, a consortium of bootlicking bigots. Rather, we are inerrant philosophers in high visibility vests, occasionally composing sonnets to truck stops and the one reliable cup of coffee that won't betray you. Podcasts are my oxygen. Your various shows, those blessed conspirators of laughter and truth, keep me alert through dusk to dawn halls like oral consolations guiding a sleep-deprived mariner. Y'all are my favorite living comedians. Yes, Drew included. If he's not laughing at me, at least he's laughing near me. And your jokes are the only thing that keep my sense of humor from hitchhiking off into the Smokies. Separated from my beloved bidet for weeks at a time, I fill the void with songs, stories, novels, and on one occasion of sudden and dangerous inspiration, a limerick. It is a small, defiant poem like whistling on a hilltop while the fog steals your socks. Futile, necessary, and oddly consoling. The Ballad of Gary Hoy. There once was a Canadian named Hoy who derived an unfortunate joy by throwing his frame at a window pane's claim. It won't break, so it won't be destroyed. But one day the pane popped askew, and out the tower he flew. Like the whale in midair, he thought life was unfair, while his claim that the glass wouldn't break was true. And after a sudden wet thud, the pavement was splattered with blood. Yet Hoy might still boast, as a translucent ghost, that glass never broke, so my point still holds good.
All right. I love it. Yeah.
I
Inspired.
absolutely love that.
The Ballad of Gary Hoy.
This was sent to us by a person. Fancy guinea pigs. You see that?
Okay, I can see it. Yeah.
It's good water. Yeah, it's nice and cold. This H2O is expressive.
Agreed.
Yet unrefined.
Precisely.
With notes of
Yes.
St. Augustine grass.
Indubitably.
This would pair well with earthworm reduction.
Let's go piggy dipping.
I love that.
I love it too.
I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Voiceovers to animal videos are a favorite. I know we really do need to do. I think every time I see him, I'm like, we should fucking do that. Me and Tom, I say this every time it comes up.
You've done it high in hotel.
Me and Thompson used to in our like teens and early 20s and shit, and we were roommates in like the college age and stuff. We'd get high and watch like Planet Earth and just sit there on the couch just doing that the whole time. Well, actually, it goes back even further. When we lived in Salina, we were in high school. We would park across from cow fields and we'd give the cows voiceovers and act out like soap opera plot lines and stuff. You know, there ain't a lot to do in fucking Salina.
Yeah.
So anyway,
we should do that.
I love that.
You know what we need to do, Trey? You know what we need to do is we need to make a new bit where each, because me and you are always perusing the internet and we see animal videos from time to time. Well, next time we see one, we need to add it to the POA folder. And I'll remove the sound, and then we'll do it at the end of the show. So if it sucks, we can cut it out. Okay. We'll try to do some improv on it, right? Here's a really good one. This is subject line: criminal animals. I have a true crime page a day calendar, and this is what the true crime was for today. I had to laugh because it reminded me when this topic was brought up on a previous episode. Thought I'd share so you could enjoy too. Thanks for being a bright spot to help me laugh through some hard days. Christy in Missouri. All right, so this is criminal animals on trial. As early as the 13th century until the Enlightenment era, it was common practice across Europe for animals to be charged with crimes, assigned defense lawyers, and sentenced sometimes even to death. A French pig in 1386 was sentenced to death for eating a child. The same district tried rats a century later for destroying crops. In 1474, a rooster that laid an egg was declared in league with the devil and burned at the stake. A colony of weevils was tried in 1545 for destroying a crop of wine. I didn't know that wine came in crops. The pig and rooster and other domestic animals like them were typically tried in civil or criminal courts, subject to hanging or burning if they were found guilty. Criminal rats, weevils, and other such pests, bugs, snakes, locusts, etc., were handled by ecclesiastic courts and subject to excommunication by the Catholic Church. The logic behind these trials is debated by historians, but it is often suggested that modeling law and order on animals as seriously as on humans helped deter higher thinking humans from committing crime. I don't think that's fucking true. I don't think that had anything to do with that.
No. Also, I mean, I will say with like a pig or a rooster, if you're gonna burn, just cook them and eat them.
Eat it.
Even if you burn them at the stake, then just eat it afterwards. But
they thought the chicken had the devil in it, though. You can't be eating the devil chicken.
It's like that's like salmonella. You just cook it to 165 and you get the devil out of there.
Cook the devil out of it. Yeah, yeah. Well, we had a couple more, but those were
let's wrap it up. I reckon
we got to wrap it up. I will say this just to make her mad. The one I had on deck was from Kim Casado,
naturally,
and I'm specifically not reading it this week, so she has to wait till next week because you're not going to believe this. It's long as fuck.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Where are you going to be?
If you're watching this when it comes out, I'm in Ohio right now. So if you're in any of those cities, come see me. I will be in Virginia next, all over the state of Virginia. And then there's Milwaukee, Madison, Oklahoma City, Dallas, Nashville with Corey and Drew at the end of the year at Zany's. Largo in Los Angeles on November 19th. That's going to be a lot of fun. Please come to that. And then a bunch of places in 2026, Sacramento, South Carolina, Wilmington, Burlington is coming back up, and many, many, many more. So go to TraeCrowder.com and check them out. Come see me, please, for the love of God.
Yeah, go see him. Hey, everybody, season 2 of Public Domain Sleepy Time Theater is upon us, which means it is officially, as of you hearing this Friday, it will be out to the whole world, wherever you get your podcast, Public Domain Sleepy Time Theater. But if you want to hear the first season, which was Mark Twain, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, you can get the entire season at WeLoveCorey.com. This second season, because it's timely, it's fall, we are reading Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And I read it as a bedtime story with my dulcet tones, and people love it. Also, get excited, guys, because as soon as I finish all of these books and several more, and with the help of my sister, who is my head researcher, my new podcast, yes, I said a new podcast, 407 Beers will be coming out. It's a history podcast that's laid back and fun. I did a pilot episode just to test the theme, and it is at WeLoveCorey.com, and it was on the Great Boston Molasses Massacre. So you can check all that out at WeLoveCorey.com, which, by the way, there's a link to that at CoreyRyanForrester.com, where you can see anytime I tour, if you want to get a cameo from me, any of that stuff. Please if you're going to get a holiday cameo, go ahead and book it, because I get overwhelmed with those and I lose my voice. So do that. And I can't wait to continue entertaining y'all. And go see Trae on the road, by God, and come see us in Nashville. Love you. Stay fancy, motherfuckers.
Here's Lydia Loveless.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Royalty and rednecks are alike. They both like cutting and picking fights. Biscuits and baked beans where they don't belong. Sit on down with Corey and Trae and learn some fancy shit today. We'll laugh a little even when they're wrong. They'll take you to a magical place where if you call someone a cunt, nobody cares. They keep it debonair at putting on airs, putting on airs, putting on airs.